Your attention, please. This is your official civil defense broadcaster.
One of the greatest threats would be radioactive fallout.
Uranium fever.
Where fallout is heaviest, it can even kill those who have not taken proper shelter.
Broadcasting deep underground in a questionably constructed survivalist bunker is Dave CHAFINZ and Kenneth VIGUE, and your host, as always, Mr. Robots. This episode of the Fallout Hub is brought to you by Sugar Bombs. Sugar Bombs! Who needs teeth anyway?
Hey, Ken, is that the vault door?
It sounds like somebody's kicking it.
Somebody else? What?
Is that
I am here.
That's a super mutant. Get the laser rifled.
This place comes with its own super mutants.
Humans.
What is going on right now?
I don't know what.
Win again.
I'm getting out of here.
Wait.
Hello.
Just took off his
What the
head.
Oh my
Hello?
god! Oh my god! That's
I
Wes
the only one-
Johnson.
Am I the only one here for the costume party? Hello.
Oh my god!
It's Wes
Where
Johnson.
did you get that costume?
Oh, hi. Hey, sorry you guys are here. I was just looking for Tim. I was supposed to be here for the costume party. This was the last address I had for him. I guess I'm early.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, come on in. I'm
All right. Should I put the head back on?
you can take it off. I bet it's hot in there. You don't have to wear it.
I got to tell you, this is pretty steamy. I think the last person who wore this was a ghoul. So,
Well, I bet it smells good.
yeah, nice.
Like bacon.
Yes.
So
Something
yeah, come on in. Grab a
Get
seat.
ready, Vic. All right.
So I guess you and Tim are good old friends. So
Well,
we're just
yeah, we've been out of touch for a little while, but this is the last address I had, and this is kind of a standing thing. The party, the costume party, and it's kind of Mardi Gras time in many parts of the country, and I figured why not in Appalachia, right?
yeah.
Absolutely,
Sounds great. Well, yeah, we're kind of just hanging out, helping get things ready, but we got some time. This is Ken. I'm Tom.
All right, Ken, Tom,
yeah,
how are
Nice
you?
to meet you. Awesome.
Yeah, we're big fans. We love. Oh man, the different characters you've played over the years in the different games. We'd love to just kind of
thanks.
pick your brain and ask some questions and find out more.
Well, go right ahead, lad. Tell me what you'd want to say. What do you got? What questions do you have?
Awesome. Oh, so by the way, we're also see the console over here. The red light's on. We're kind of doing a podcast recording, so you're going to be.
Oh, that would have been
Is that
nice
cool?
enough before I came in a super mutant outfit. Yeah,
Oh
okay.
no, but it was
That's
totally
fine.
cool. The listeners are going to love it.
Yeah, and it'll be fine. I'm sure.
All right, I'm gonna strip out of this too, man, because really it does smell a bit like bacon, but irradiated bacon is no good.
Right.
No.
You've got clothes on under there, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, good.
Yeah. Okay.
Whew, all right.
If not, I think there's some followers of the apocalypse robes over here.
Yeah, there's plenty of those. I don't know why those are
Were
all
they-
in there.
They've been washed.
Was that from the last party?
I think it was. Yeah, this smells a little stale.
Great. Okay, well it's got to be better than old gob. So all right.
Old cob. So,
Yeah, I don't know where Tim is, and there was somebody else I was supposed to be here, wasn't he?
yeah, he's, I guess, he was checking one of the areas that we haven't really explored very well. I have a feeling he may have like fallen through. There was a hole back there. I think there might be a whole lower floor. We might have to go check on him.
What do you tell him? You tell him that I'm sorry I missed him. And the next time he doesn't show up, I'll skip rope with his entrails.
Yeah, we will definitely let him know that. I'm sure he's kicking himself right now and probably screaming for our help to get back out of the hole he fell down. So
Well,
we'll have to go find
we've
him.
all been there, haven't we?
So to our listeners, you guys, Wes Johnson, if you are not familiar with the name, you, I'm sure, are familiar with some of the characters he's played throughout the years. All the way back in Oblivion, if you played through Elder Scrolls for Oblivion, Lucian LeChance, the Grey Fox.
And if you got off the boat in Morrowind, I would have met you and said, "Oh, yes, we've been expecting you. Come right in."
Well, there you go. Yeah, some of our audience will remember Morrowind. That's true. Yes.
That's awesome.
Sheogorath, of course, one of your fan favorite characters. And then from the Fallout series, you've got Fawkes, Scribe Bigsley, Sparky.
The protectrons, the sentry bots. There was the Silver Shroud. Yeah, I was Mr. Burke. I want you to blow the cesspool off the map.
Yes. There's that.
Now, if you were a female character, if you're playing as a female character, you might have recognized me a bit more because of the love notes he would have ended up sending to you.
Ooh.
I never played through as a female. What?
Fallout 3? Yeah. I don't know that I played a female. My wife did. You've been flirting with my wife.
Well, and it was lovely. It was lovely, I have to say.
Well, thanks. She's a very lovely person. So every time we have a guest on the show, we go through a quick 20 questions, and the idea here is don't think too hard, just kind of answer.
Well, that'll be easy enough.
All right. So you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Start it off. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Oh, well, Tyrannosaurus Rex, who can
Good
never
choice.
scratch his own back.
That's very
Those
true.
sad little arms.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think is the worst way to die?
Death.
Death
I
itself.
think murder by death is terrible. I would imagine there are lots of bad ways to die, but mostly I think the worst would probably be getting trapped in an elevator with oh my. Well, there are so many things. Put and the person you hate the most, being trapped in an elevator with them, and then having slowly starved to death while listening to them. I think that's a terrible way to go.
That does sound pretty terrible.
Unless you eat them, in which case, you'd live for a little while longer.
True, but those same people have been leaving a bad taste in your mouth for years. Do you really want to go there?
That's true.
Or maybe that's just the right poetic way to go out.
Yeah. No, the worst way to go out, I guess, would be being the person eaten in the elevator.
Ooh, yeah, no.
Yeah. All right.
Especially if they're going like, okay, listen, we're just going to start with the leg. I'm going to let you live for a while.
Right. Just cut off little bit by bit, and then, yeah. All right, so this segues really well to our third question. If you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pot roast, which is what I had for dinner tonight.
Oh, good call.
But it has to be good pot roast. Fall off the fork, just so tender pot roast. Not the kind that people say is pot roast, and then you're like, you boiled your shoe, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tastes kind of like that leg of that terrible guy.
Exactly right.
Yeah. All right, number 4. Would you rather own a dragon or be a dragon?
Probably own a dragon because, you have all the powers of the dragon if the dragon is your friend and does your bidding. And, you don't have to worry about trying to get into small doors.
I can imagine cleaning up dragon poo is quite the task.
Well, what you do is you just have them fly over your friend's house in their car.
The guy
and
you
then
hate.
It's not your responsibility, is it? That's one thing they never saw in Game of Thrones, is where, the mother of dragons was like, well, I'm not going to kill you, but I am going to severely mess up your ride.
Yeah. Everyone's worried about dragon fire coming down from the heavens, but dragon
Well,
poo,
yeah. The other way around, I mean, that burns too.
Yeah. First you poop on it, then you burn it.
Yeah, give them a few minutes to marinate, and that's the secret of any cooking, right?
All right, next question. How many zombies have you killed in your life?
How many zombies have I killed? Counting the ones in the airport today?
Sure.
I would say a plethora. Is that a good
answer.
measurement term?
That's a great answer.
That is,
yes. Yeah. All right. If you were on death row, is another food question. What would your last meal be?
Last meal on death row. All you could eat pasta.
So you just can't ever get killed. You just have to keep eating.
Yeah, you keep serving, baby. Keep serving.
Get it delivered from Olive Garden. You get those endless soup salad and breadsticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're hoping you'll fill up on the breadsticks, aren't they?
Yeah.
Totally.
He fills up on the breadsticks, and that's the end of him.
Make them carry me to the electric chair.
No, I can eat another. I promise.
That's called reheating your food right there.
Yeah.
And then you have pot roast.
Yeah, exactly. You are pot roast.
You are pot roast. All right. What's the last thing you did for the first time?
Ooh. Probably attended Mardi Gras here in Galveston. Yeah, although we're not really attending Mardi Gras, but our window's right next to the street, and the music is so loud coming in when they're playing it, and we're imagining that's going to be our 3 a.m. But that's the first thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like Mardi Gras is attending you.
It does. It does. You can feel it reverberating to your soul.
Okay. What's your favorite smell?
Ooh, my favorite smell: baby's hair.
Oh yeah, the baby head smell.
Now, a close second, by the way, is freshly ground coffee bean.
I'm glad you didn't say freshly ground babies.
Ooh, man, I hadn't even thought of that.
So,
Lucy at the Chance would love the freshly ground babies.
All right. So, what can you talk about for hours?
Well, anything. I'm a chatty Cathy. Sort of like Lucian was when he came back from the dead. I can be a bit of a chatty Cathy. I love to talk about Doctor Who. Get me on Doctor Who. We've got 50 years of history to go on, and I can talk about any of that.
Fellow Whovian.
Ah, yes.
Favorite doctor, Tom Baker?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. A friend of mine came back from England with a gift for me, and it was an autographed photo of Tom Baker. I was speechless.
He's still doing stuff with Big Finish, and it's awesome still hearing him play the role.
He sounds just as young as ever in most of them. There's a few of them where he sounds tired and phones it in, but then again, there were a couple episodes along the way that Tom did that as well, and we just didn't care because he was Tom Baker.
Yeah, he talk about lighting up a room. He has such an amazing personality.
Oh, he was amazing, and he still is amazing, and he really does believe that he's still the Doctor, no matter what. Yep. You can't convince him otherwise, and you probably can't convince me otherwise. The day of the Doctor anniversary, he showed up again. Surprised by that.
Yeah, that was great, where he's the curator. He's reprising that role.
He is going to reprise the curator?
He is. Big Finish just announced that today. They're going to do an episode with Paul McGann on Big Finish with him as the curator, where Paul McGann as the Doctor is trapped on Earth. So they have to team up together, the Paul McGann Doctor and then the future Tom Baker Doctor.
Well, that's wonderful.
Well, that sounds like some timey-wimey stuff right there.
Timey-wimey, very.
We revisit just a few of the old favorites.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's
have a lot to do.
Let's keep going because we're only about halfway through the list. So let's.
Yeah, you asked me what I could talk about forever.
Yeah,
me on that, and then we're never going to stop.
Yeah, I could talk about that forever.
All right, what's your most favorite animal in the world?
My Chai Weenie.
Your Chai Weenie? That's a great name. I'm assuming that's a dog.
It is a dog. It's a cross between a dachshund and a chihuahua. She's the sweetest thing. Her name is Cosette. We call her Cozy, except she's really sweet and nice with us, but if she's in the car and somebody walks up the door, she becomes Cujo instantly.
That's awesome. All right, would you rather lose an arm or a leg?
Oh my. Probably a leg. You can always get a good, nice replacement leg, but getting the arms to do what you want when you get those replaced, although, a hook's rather intimidating on the metro. You're trying to get a seat, isn't it?
That's true.
It is true, yes. If you were a kitchen appliance, which one would you be?
Melon baller.
I love that he didn't think about that.
You're like, I've known the answer to this question my whole life. I just haven't ever been
waiting.
asked it. Where would no one expect to find the bodies?
Where would
In
no
the
one?
elevator.
Yeah, probably. Oh, they'd find them all right. That door would open and be like, oh my God. Where would they not look? In the mulch.
That's a good one.
All right, here's a tough one. If you could shoot one condiment from your belly button, which would it be?
What?
Well, it would have to be mayonnaise just for the consternation it would cause.
Oh, no.
Yes, that would be pretty messed up looking. What song do you want to be played at your funeral?
What a Wonderful World.
That's a good classic Louis.
Yeah,
version?
it has to be Louis. It has to be Louis, yeah.
Yeah, only Louis.
I see trees of green,
I see
red roses too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can only do that when I'm sick.
It's all like in the throat.
Yeah.
Where do
Nobody ever picks Barry White for some reason, and he's got that thing going. They don't want to see the coffin there and your waxy face, and so it's like, we got it going, baby.
Hey, let's get it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna make love. Heaven.
All right, four more questions left. Where did you hide the body?
Oh, where did I hide the body? Over at I'd say Lowe's.
At Lowe's.
Nobody can find anything at Lowe's. That's a very valid point.
Good answer. Third to last. Do you want to build a snowman?
Absolutely, just not in the yard that has a dog that the people don't pick up after. Too many charcoal eyes everywhere. It's like you're making a Hermaeus s'more, a stinky Hermaeus s'more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Second to last. How awesome are your pajamas?
My pajamas are the best. I got the
answer.
flannel kind of overshirt that hangs down like an Ebenezer Scrooge kind of thing, although it looks like Scrooge / lumberjack, and then the flannel pants that go with it, and it's awfully comfy. People come to the door and they don't even mind you're still in the jammies. They're just like, oh, you look comfortable. So, yeah.
Perfect. Last question. On a scale from 1 to 10, what's your favorite color?
Infinity.
Brilliant. Bonus question. How do we get a job working for Bethesda doing voice stuff? No, you don't have to answer that one, but that would be amazing. Well, welcome to the show.
It's grown different over the years. It truly has. I started off going through a casting agent, and now it's going through places like Blind Light in Los Angeles, and video game voiceovers have changed a lot over the years. It truly has. I think that it's because they're putting so much money into the games these days. It's like making a movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
with multiple endings, and that you control yourself. Imagine if you were given a controller and sent into a movie theater and were able to try to control what you saw up on the screen. First of all, with so many people with controllers, that movie would be a mess. Yes. Come to think of it, I've seen some movies that it looked like that's exactly what they did, but that's what video games can provide to you, totally. a movie experience, but one that will also keep playing in your head. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you played a game and you think you're going to get in there and play just a little bit of a half an hour? Next thing you know, the birds are chirping the next morning. Your day is completely toast because you spent the entire night up. And when you finally do get to sleep, you dream in that world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that with both Skyrim, all of the Fallout games, and BioShock too, to be honest.
It's the best. It really is. I mean, and that's what video games are able to tap into. They tap into your imagination, and they tap into an integration of your theater of mind in your imagination so much more effectively than a lot of other mediums.
Yep.
So that, I think, right there is the difference between really a movie or a video game.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. We are very, very much. If it comes to playing a game or watching a movie, almost all the time I will play a game rather
Would
than watch a
you
movie.
like to play a game?
Yes, please. So, touching back on, you were saying back when you started, how did you get into voice acting?
Basically, as a casting agent, I lived in the Washington, D.C. area, and a casting agent called me up. They were looking for somebody with different voices. There was a game, Unreal 2. Remember Unreal 2?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you killed anybody in Unreal 2, it was probably me. When you're killing mass people, that's all I was. I know other people who actually got to play characters in that game. My good friend Jeff Baker was one of them. They got actual characters in the game. Me, they said, we just need you to die over and over again. It's the same kind of experience as, what ex-girlfriends would say. But you go in, and they set this thing up so that you get, this time you're getting burned to death. Okay, you've just been stabbed. Okay, you're getting your head cut off. This is an explosion, and you have to crawl away. So you're for 4 hours just dying, and your voice slowly dying as well the entire time. But that was my first experience, was just dying the deaths of over 200 people in Unreal 2. I basically was the equivalent of the Wilhelm scream for that.
Yeah.
And so they started calling me for other things, and I did get a call for Morrowind, and I showed up for Morrowind, and they brought me a photograph of just one of the characters that we were voicing, and that was Sosius Ergala, who was the guy who greets you off the boat, who was an older wizardy kind of guy, and I based the voice on that. What I didn't realize at the time was that was going to become the entire race. So the entire race sounded like old bald men. And I believe Todd Howard was actually directing at the time, the voice acting. Wow. And I was like, well, when we went to the battle sounds, and that's the thing, you save your battles and your deaths for last, because that does take a toll on the voice. Sure. So I'm saying, how do these guys fight? It's like, well, they're wizards. They're not they're feet. They're not really battle hardened. I said, oh, okay. So do you think they, scream like a little bitch when they got hit with a sword? Yes. So that's what I was doing. I'd be getting hit with a broadsword. And no, stop. People started playing, and they pick out Breton to play with, and suddenly they don't like the fact that their character is screaming and whining when they're getting hit with a sword. They're like, my mage is more manly than that. So it was the first time I ever ran across a Reddit page where people were like, we're building a whole mod to replace Wes Johnson's voice. So that was nice. Yeah, because they wanted it to be more manly.
But it's Todd's fault. He told me to be a wuss.
Well, it's funny because the whole race thing it continued on through Oblivion at first, and I played the Imperials in that one. And the Imperials were a different kind of thing, but midway through, the casting director, the voice director, and he casted me, was Mark Lampert. And he says, this guy's a little more evil. He's a little different. Maybe we should play him a little bit differently. That was the beginning of the whole change for me. And suddenly, Lucian LeChance of the Dark Brotherhood was born, dear child of Sithis. And
in resonance with that.
He was great. I loved playing him, and suddenly he's just out of lines. I had no idea why until I played and found myself hanging an Apple Watch. Spoilers. But
on an old game at this point.
Yeah, but that was the first time to do a character that was a little bit different than all the rest of the races, and it was received so well that when we did the Shivering Isles expansion, suddenly there were a lot more voices and a lot more different characters, and I did play about 8 to 9 people in the expansion, including Sheogorath, Dias, one of the executioners, Humnus Columnus, the suicide guy, but they all had voices. And to me, the best thing is to do a different character and a different voice, and nobody knows you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That I love. Because immersion in a video game is the most important thing. What I was telling you about, when you play the game and you're so into the world that you dream it, if you ruin the immersion with voiceover, that's a true shame. You never want to take anybody out of the game at all, ever.
It's amazing the amount of characters and voices you have done. If anyone looks you up, it's impressive.
And I'm a big fan of Mel Blanc. And Mel Blanc, the way he would develop characters, I got a chance to look at Sheogorath, and Sheogorath was one where they came to me and they said, we're thinking of doing something a little different. They wanted him to be more manic. They wanted him to be all over the place. They wanted him to be scary and funny. And they were saying Robin Williams at first, and I thought, well, Robin's a bit too cuddly, to be somebody who's scary like that. And I thought, who would be if they want to do a stand-up, and I started thinking about it, and I thought, who would be who's very funny, and you feel like you could pal around with him and have a beer, but you never want to piss him off, and that's Billy Connolly. So the Scottish side of Sheogorath came from that, but then I thought, it's not enough for him to be Scottish. This is what happens when you give a voice actor a little bit of time to think a character through. I wanted him to also be Irish, because he'd go back and forth between the Scottish and the Irish, and occasionally you'll note that Sheogorath will drop his accent altogether, especially when he's angry or malevolent.
Right, yeah.
And all of them are there when he's talking about, the different kinds of foods that he'd like. And he's like, oh, perhaps you'd have brain pie. Oh, brain pie! Perfect! Care to donate? So you've got all three. You've got the Irish, you've got the Scottish, and then you've got nothing altogether. And I thought that's going to put people off a little bit. It did confuse some of the people in Scotland and Ireland. I'll give you that. Like, where the hell is this guy from?
What?
But
why is he? Yeah.
But having the voices change slightly and subtly and imperceptibly to some, but also the accents and all this, and Sheogorath is none of those things. Every voice that he does is an affectation because he just wants to. Right.
He's just chaotic by nature.
Yeah. And so he was great, and I loved going back and forth and swinging that pendulum back and forth between a friendly Irish fellow from Cork, Ireland, to the manic, crazy Scottish, then to, pulling it almost back altogether, especially when he starts changing into Jigalag. Mm-hmm. Again, spoilers. He is Jigalag until, of course, he gets the staff of Sheogorath in your hand, and slowly over the next couple hundred years, no matter what you look like, mantles you into him.
Right. Yeah, there's so one of the other shows I do is the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, and getting into that topic is always fun. Sheogorath, two of the characters you've played, Sheogorath and Hermaeus Mora, are probably my two favorite Daedric princes.
Yeah, they're mine as well.
Because Hermaeus Mora is one of the weirdest voices dragon.
Yep, because they're
twisting
so
the tongue,
crazy,
it's a tongue
and weird.
twister, literally.
Yeah, and that is a really unique way to talk, for sure.
Well, if you do that to people, they get very impatient. I've discovered, and some people are impatient with Hermaeus Mora, but I think that adds to the creepiness level when you're in a different world.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes, yeah.
And I love
this really strange world, and he's hovering there over everything, looking over these tomes and shelves of books, and
you can look over them with millions of eyes and tentacles, and he's shapeless and formless, and yet his full visage would blow someone's mind and scare them to death. I love the guy, and I mean, when you get into the Fallout world, some of those characters too, I adore. I love Mo Cronin. Talking about getting you guys out, they swing a little hefty hickory, right? You're looking for a swatter, and he irritates people. Come back later, kid. I'm busy. People don't like that Mo won't give them the time of day. I remember going on to YouTube. Someone sent this to me, and it's like the title of the video was "Killing Mo Cronin," and someone decided they wanted to send it to me, and it's basically somebody killing and dismembering Mo Cronin. And I locked the doors that night. But I love the Silver Shroud is great. Old time radio.
That has to be a compliment.
Yeah, isn't that a justification that you did a good job, that you get any sort of emotional reaction out of somebody?
Oh, yeah. And, people like, even a friend of mine, Craig Seckler, plays the adoring fan, who people hate, but they love hearing him do the voice. He launched 1 million memes, and they launched 1 million adoring fans off of clips. But again, you create a pearl that way. I guess a little slight irritant is what creates the pearl in the end, right?
Yeah, totally. So your first gig with Bethesda was Morrowind.
It was Morrowind, yes.
And then you went on, and you've pretty much been in everything since then, including some of the other smaller side type projects.
I've enjoyed Legends. I've enjoyed doing Blades. People wondered about Theodore Gorlash until suddenly he showed up sounding just like Sheogorath.
Yes, I've dabbled in Blades. I haven't played a ton, but he showed up, and I looked at him, and I looked at the name, and I went, I know what's going on here. And then I went and talked to him and went, yep.
Well, the eyes have it. Look at his eyes. Look him in the eyes. Tell me he's not lying to you.
So, you've done both high fantasy and apocalypse fantasy. I guess you could say sci-fi type stuff. All of this stuff is fantasy.
And all the robots, all the protectrons. I love the protectrons.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's similarities or differences? Do you have to like get in a different mindset to be in each of those worlds?
No, because whatever character you're playing, that you're embodying whatever their story is. You're trying to inhabit them and bring them to life. So you're not necessarily telling the story of the world when you have a character. You're telling the story of that character. Like when we first did the Super Mutants, I was told by Mark, again, was the director on that, when he said, try to imagine if a gorilla had been given, the brains to try to communicate, but still was trying to form words through a voice box, a gorilla's voice box that was never to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very interesting, the struggles that you have going through it. I know that the FEV that my characters, my super mutants, went through was a different FEV than the ones that Michael Dorn did. The West Coast FEV was a different FEV than the East Coast, evidently.
Right, the virus that mutates them into super mutants. Right,
exactly, yes. Right, yeah.
Right.
So they're slightly different, and you've got some of them that are a little more intelligent and a little more human than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some of them who, like Fawkes is different than the other ones. Yeah,
and I've played through. People ask if I play the games. Yeah, I play them a lot. 600-800 hours in some of these games, and Fawkes, especially after Broken Steel, becomes nigh invulnerable. And you go out and he takes that laser Gatling gun and just like raises the place, and everybody's laying about you, and suddenly says something like, I don't know why people don't attack when you're around. It's like, and me as Wes just sitting there going, because you killed them all, Fawkes. They're not attacking because you killed them all.
Did your job, buddy.
Yeah, I do talk to my characters sometimes on the screen, but the thing is, when I'm playing the game, I'm the character that I'm playing. I'm not the characters I voice. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They become somebody else, and I can yell back at them. I get on the spectral spirit in Skyrim, Lucien LeChance's ghost, and it's like, shut up, Lucien. Yes, I do know the tale of Matthew Bellamont. Jeez, get over it.
I've already been through this. Gosh.
He carved off your nibbly bits. We got it.
So you have a diversity here of heroic characters and villainous characters. Do you have a preference?
Villain is always a lot more fun to play.
Yeah.
But, there's something about playing a straight up heroic character and trying to imbue it with some kind of life. Now, the guards that I played in some of the Skyrim Oblivion guards were interesting, the Halt criminal scum and all this, because they believe they're always in the right. And remember, every character that you play, even if it's a villain, they are the hero of their own story. Mm-hmm, Lucien LeChance was the hero of his own story. And
Well,
yet,
I mean, he's like the hero of like everything.
Yeah.
He's Dark Brotherhood, so you know.
you sleep rather soundly for a murder. You know, try waking somebody up with that once or twice. They don't respond well.
That's
Or
how I
answer
get
the
my wife
phone
up.
that way.
That's how I get my wife up in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. DIVORCE, my friend.
Oh no, she's a big fan. She loves it. She loves it.
Oh yeah. He would wake me up every morning, Your Honor, and say I slept soundly for. I'm sure he's like, ooh.
Yeah, and a creepy, scary guy voice from a video game we both played. Yeah.
Well, at conventions, when I go out to conventions, I can do Sheogorath, I can do super mutant, all these things in loud places. But in order to do the voice of Lucian, you have to sidle up to somebody. So if you're pulling up next to them and coming up to their ear, and you're whispering, "The Night Mother loves you," in their ear,
My
you know,
God.
their flesh is going to crawl like a squid. Just a wee
ASMR
bit.
from hell.
Yeah.
LSMR.
Oh.
So when you're playing, that's a different experience. Like you were saying, you're embodying the character you're playing. Do you?
Exactly
Most people try to be the good guy, but in these games, you don't always have to be. Do you?
Well, you want to be. You don't. Here's the thing.
How do you approach it?
Even if I like to try to keep my regular main game as a good guy, a decent guy, but every once in a while, especially when I'm getting to the end of my game and I'm tired, I will save and murder the entire town. I know they'll all be back tomorrow when I bring it back up again, and I don't know whether they have a residual resentment with their AI as they're staring at you, but it seems like they'd be a little less sassy the next day. I had a
Like a
brain,
Westworld
this
thing
guy
going on.
slaughtered everybody, but we're here, I guess. Maybe I just won't throw an Enwa at him this time. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, and Fallout 3, that was the game I started in. After, like, the fourth irritating quest from Moira, I finally decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to Tenpenny Tower, and I'm going to blow this place off the face of the planet.
I did that after saving as well, and you come back, and guess what? She's
Still there. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yes.
You're the only one I wanted dead.
She never looked better then, did she?
I know.
Major improvement.
Now, I know the girl who plays Moira. I've known her for years, and what was funny is playing that game. My guys were still young, and they don't care that that Dad does a bunch of video game voices. I would hear them in the back. The guards would come out and try to arrest them, and the next thing you know, Dad's getting chopped up to pieces in the back room. They're killing Dad. I'm pretty certain that if the Melendez brothers' parents had been in a video game, they might be alive today. They get a lot of frustration out that way. But they didn't care that I do this. They're not impressed with that at all. However, when I got Moira Brown to call and leave a message for them on their phone, that was something,
It wasn't just Dad.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, they're like, forget about you, Dad. Oh, those other people you're hanging out with, though, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know why my kids are suddenly talking like they're out of Brooklyn.
You're pretty cool there, old man. So I'm sure the same thing happens to you, though. Do you get recognized in public? Or do your voice at like a convention when you start
I
talking to
also
somebody?
do announcing. I do announcing the arena announcing for the Washington Capitals, and I've done that for like the past 20 years. I've even got a really lovely Stanley Cup ring, a real one, and so the people who follow the Capitals will recognize me sometimes in public, and then my family all walks the other way. I used to do radio before that. I was on a morning show around town in DC. I worked with Wolfman Jack for a couple of years.
Oh wow!
I was on the air for a while. I was Wild West back when my hair was a little longer, and I had a motorcycle, and just gotten together with my wife, and we were out after a show, and these two young girls with stars in their eyes come up and they go, "Oh my God, it's Wild West!" And my wife sees them come up, and they're all jumping up and down. She goes, "Yeah, I've seen them pooping." And the starry look just fled from their eyes as quick as you can say, "Oh my God." At first I was a little embarrassed, but then later I thought, well, that was particularly brilliant.
Yeah. He's just a human, just like the rest of us.
She was ready for that to not happen that evening and to move on and have a nice evening, and they gave us our space then. It's like, if you get starstruck, don't worry about it. Everybody poops, right? Even George
Everybody
Clooney.
poops.
George Clooney has been known to wish that he had brought along the poopery when he's walked out of a restroom or something like that. It's like, well, I got to tell you, that sure didn't smell like the sexiest man alive. I don't know.
Well, no, you can't be sexy all the time.
Yeah, we're going to get a cease and desist now from his lawyers. Mr. Clooney does not defecate.
He has been known not to. Do you think it's interesting getting a start in radio? I think voice acting it requires, I guess, a certain...
Well, it's acting for one thing. The voice is beside the thing. I started off as an actor and a stand-up comic and a sketch comedian, and then moved that into radio. And then from radio, I started doing other things. I got cast in but voice acting in and of itself, it's the acting part of it. You don't necessarily have to have character voices, and the people who focus too much on the character side of it and forget that you're telling a story that has to bring people in, and they're just doing a silly voice, well, then that in and of itself can break the immersion, and that to me is a crime.
Do you think that
it doesn't feel authentic when it comes across like that?
Yeah.
Do you think it's harder to act and engage on stage or doing stand-up than it is with voice acting, or do you think voice acting is harder than physical acting?
Well, no, they're just different. Film acting is smaller, and it's internal, and a raise of an eyebrow or just a look can be seen by the camera and can end up being huge. On stage, you have to make it much bigger to be seen from the crowd and to get that across. And voice acting, in a way, is kind of in between there. It's right between those. You have to make some things a little bit large. The characterization and the visualizations were a little stiff. However, you need to imply your movement, imply the sound. If you're going to be swinging a sword, the grunt, the windedness, the air that you bring into a conversation. When someone is speaking, they don't just run off the words and that's the end of it. There's a pause, there's a breath, right. There's a little thinking. All of these things you bring into the video game that necessarily would not, that might be a little larger than what you would do for camera, but wouldn't be nearly as large as you would do for stage. So they're all very different. Now what can be exhausting is on stage you do a play and you're on stage for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and you're not on stage the entire time. In a film, you're filming small little bits here or there. Stand-up, at the most, you're doing like an hour set. Sometimes you're up there 15, 20 minutes. Voice acting, a 4-hour session where they come in and hand you like a ream of papers that looks like a phone book, and you're doing every possible combination of line that this person would say so that the AI will kick in and react to whatever you're doing. That's a 4-hour performance. So that in of itself can be exhausting, especially when you finish it with all the different deaths. Okay, this time you're covered in molten lava, but you're also being bitten by iguanas. Go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On the previous interview, we asked how many chickens it would take to kill an elephant.
Ooh.
That just made me think about that.
With a tremendously sized gun.
Chicken, that's a really good shot.
Yeah.
Just pulls out a shotgun.
The elephants are translate what they say, hearing them go, "Look out, he's got a gun," or "He's got a knife," or "a broken beer bottle." Elephants are on the lookout for chicken, and again, mice. Mice have been known to carry switchblades. That's why they're afraid.
I feel like this is a Far Side comic in the making.
Really sinister looking chicken.
Yeah.
Aiming at an elephant. So you've done so many different roles, so many different characters in these games. Is there aside from ESO in general, is there a role that you were gunning for that you were just like, I wish I had gotten that?
Well, I would have liked to have done Parthenax, but I mean, Charles Martinet did such a great job with it.
Parthenax.
Yeah, it's amazing that he does Mario.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, I've met Charles, and he can do all sorts of different things, but he'll drop that Mario in a hat, man.
Yeah,
you're talking as it's a Mario. It's like, okay,
it's Mexico.
Yeah, he's great. He's great with the fans. I would have liked to, I mean, some of the roles in especially Oblivion, I played a number of the roles. I voiced a number of them, and then they'd bring other people in and they mixed it up. Like I was Mark. I played Joffrey. I did Vincent Valtieri, and they decided Vincent Valtieri. Ralph Cosham also voiced Lucien LeChance, and those voices are out there somewhere. I loved Ralph Cosham, by the way. I could listen to Ralph Cosham. I'm so sorry that he's gone. He was a hero of mine. It was lovely. But as far as roles that I did finally get to play a dragon in Blades. That was fun. That comes around. Other games that I would have liked to have done, I wanted to be in Red Dead Redemption. I played that one to death. That would be fun to do.
You got a good cowboy voice?
Well, if you want to do something like that, bring it on.
So I like to play with voices as well, and one that I call the old Prospector is one of my favorites, and I go, well, shucky dang darn.
Well, I did sort of an old prospectory thing with some of the beggars in one of the games, although what happened was they had us do the beggar voice, but there weren't enough voices in the background. It defaulted to the regular, like, Imperial voice along the way. But I think people are wonderful because they come up with their own ideas and they go, well, why that is? I'm like, right. Why is that? Because all of the beggars are really spies for the Imperial government. It's like, okay.
All right.
I'll buy that. Okay. That's perfect.
Canon. Sure.
Well, yeah. Let's go with that. I think you're correct.
I'm sure there are a lot of people listening to this who love these games and love the characters and would love, kind of like I joked in the beginning, but just even getting into voice acting. What would be your recommendation for a pathway into that?
I would say, first of all, go to D. Bradley Baker's website. It's a must-read. D. Bradley Baker, great voiceover actor, and he's done a service to everybody. People breaking in, people who are already in, but it's called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. Check that out. All the information you ever want to do about breaking into the business, building your own home studio, it's all right there. And I would suggest that. I'd suggest getting out your phone and recording your voice doing some things and letting it sit for a day or two, come back and listen to it. And if you believe it 100%, then you're doing great. But the fact of the matter is you're going to listen to it and go, I'm not quite there. And you're going to keep honing it, keep practicing, keep recording. All of us have the time where we had recorders when we're growing up and we're building our own little radio shows and radio programs, And I'm no different. I used to do that all the time, and it ended up paying off. I did a daily comic strip for the Washington Times, so all the times that my teacher said Wes should stop drawing cartoons on his papers, it'll never amount to anything. There we go for that. Wes has got all these characters in his head. He needs to focus on other things. Well, look at this. Ha ha. Yeah. My thing is follow your dream, follow your heart, but let your head give you directions.
Do you think it's interesting now because podcasting, and specifically storytelling podcasting, is bringing back kind of what is a second generation of the golden age of radio in a different format. There's some, like, I got into podcasting from listening to the No Sleep podcast and Limetown and the Black Tapes that had these really rich stories with sound and really amazing voice actors. And it's an interesting time to get into voice acting, even in a podcasting format.
Well, I mean, like you said, it is kind of like the new frontier in regard to radio. Mel Blanc used to be in there. Have you ever read Mel Blanc's autobiography? That's Not All, Folks.
No,
it's wonderful, and he did a service to all voice actors when he went in and he was trying to get a raise, and they said, we won't give you any additional money. He said, well, would you give me a voice credit? in the movies. They said, fine, that's not going to cost us a thing. Smartest thing he ever did, because people suddenly realized vocal characterization by Mel Blanc, and he started getting work in radio, and tons of work in radio, and everybody was calling him. He'd go from one studio to the next in the golden age of radio, and was never out of work. I would have loved to have lived during that era. I did get to see his grave out in LA when I was out there. It's at the Hollywood Cemetery. And I walked up to it, and it says, "That's all, folks," on it. And I was talking to him, and I brought a rose. I'd been given at a show the night before, and I put it down in front of his grave, and I said, "You know, Mel, I'm indebted to you. I really am. Everything you've ever done, I wanted to be you. I wonder if you were here today, what you might say to me." And at that point, right outside the cemetery, a novelty car horn goes off and goes, and all the goose flesh raises up on my arms. I'm like, "Thanks, Mel. Good talking with you. Take care. Have a good day."
That's perfect.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. For anybody who's not familiar, he was the voice of like so many different cartoon characters, Looney Tunes, all sorts of things.
Bunny, any of the Looney Tunes. Eventually, even the ones he wasn't originally, he ended up taking over as time went on. He was Barney Rubble, the Flintstones. Mel Blanc was what was the robot in Buck Rogers? He was Astro the dog. Yeah, he was in everything.
Oh yeah, Astro. Yep.
I got to tell you, it's there are so many places. The acting is the way to go with most of these, though. You want to be a voice actor, be an actor. I've worked in film, I've worked on stage, I've worked with radio, and the thing is, work will always beget work. I was telling you guys before, I did the John Waters movie where I was a biker by the name of Fat Fuck Frank. And Selma Blair was my girlfriend in an NC-17 film. Like, that'll ever happen. And it was a great time.
I have to go find that now. I've never seen that movie.
It's called A Dirty Shame. Yeah,
A Dirty Shame. Well, if you got to get the NC-17 version, because the R version, the neutered edition, is not nearly as funny. And on the full version, there's a documentary on the back called "All the Dirt on a Dirty Shame," which is a very funny documentary. But I mean,
yeah, these photos
all
are
of it
ridiculous.
is acting.
I'm looking at them right now. Go ahead.
So take acting lessons. Don't necessarily take voice lessons. Take acting lessons.
Yeah, because you get the timing down. I think like I started acting in high school, and then doing some improv stuff, and doing voice acting now. You learn the pacing and inflection, and you can kind of personify the emotion in the moment to convey that through sound alone.
Right.
Being denied being able to do something physical.
Well, yeah, and you infer a lot. Your voice will infer a lot. You can say a line straight through, but you're missing so many things, because take a look at Shakespeare. Shakespeare is done in pentatonic verse. Well, I messed that up. But anyway, Shakespeare is done in verse. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily, as you're reading it, tell you what you need to know for the story's sake. But a good actor gets a hold of it. And they're telling the story. The words are not nearly as important sometimes as the inflection, as what you're hearing behind the words. Have you ever seen a person in a show where they say one thing and you know immediately they're talking about something else? That's the best. That's acting. And that's where, it isn't just the words on a page, but I got to tell you, it starts with the words on a page. So, all the guys who wrote for Sheogorath, they deserve all the credit in the world. The guys who created and wrote, guys like Emil Pagliarillo and Brian and all those guys who wrote those things, Fred, they put these words to paper and create these characters. That's as much a part of the creation of the character as the voice acting is, but you have to bring your side of the contribution. That's why you bring words to life. You have to bring them to life. They have to be said as if it's coming out of your mouth the first time. You have to understand what the meaning of the words is. What does it mean to me that I'm saying this? What are the emotions behind it? And if you're not saying that in your read, well, you failed the story, you failed the writer, you failed the listener. So there's a lot of responsibility in that. And doing a character voice, if you're doing a character voice, make sure that again, it's believable and it doesn't take you out. I'd rather somebody not do a character voice and give me good acting, as opposed to doing a character voice and all there is character. It's a shtick.
Yeah.
Has there ever been? Oh, sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
I was going to say it feels hollow when there's no actual emotion and acting underneath it.
Well, it becomes shallow. It's like a scythe, you know.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Has there ever been a situation where you have a strong impression of what the character is or would say, that you've gone to the director, whether it's a game or anything else, and suggested something alternatively, whether it's something they say or maybe doing it a little differently than what they intended?
Sometimes, yeah. And it depends upon the director, and it depends upon, how married they are to the things. But there's some who'll say, okay, dude, that's great. It's an interesting idea. Give it to me the way that it's written, and then give it to me your way. And sometimes they go with your way. But your job isn't to be the writer. Right. I will say that with Sheogorath and with recently I came back and did the the Gray Fox. And the Gray Fox had certain catchphrases and certain ways he would say things, and in the new writing it wasn't there. And I said, may I add some of these little things here that make him more the Gray Fox? And they said, sure. Other times you don't have to do that. Other times it's all right there. Sheogorath in Shivering Isles was a brilliant piece of writing. All of that is there. All of that. And it's amazing what people grab a hold of. The cheese line is just a small once-off, toss-off kind of line. Half the things Sheogorath says are toss-off lines. And to some people, it resonates with them. It becomes such a part of the character that it becomes, a memification of it,
Right. Everything's about cheese now. Yes.
It is. The day that Sheogorath becomes lactose intolerant will be a very sad day in Shivering.
Oh, poor guy.
But, that's just as good if you don't like cheese, right?
I came late to the party, so I only started playing the Elder Scrolls with Skyrim. But being in the mind of Pelagius and being introduced to the character was so memorable. That character, the voice stands out so distinctly from any other voice I had heard in that world.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I love him. He's like a baby. Of mine. And again, that I had a chance to spend the time to help, create who he was and the idea. When Todd first listened to it and they went back and listened to it, it was so different than what they had originally imagined that he wasn't sure he liked it at first, but then he kept saying, you know what? The more I listen to it, the more it's growing on me, and they went with it, and I'm glad that they did. It was, Lucien LeChance also is one of those things where Lucien LeChance is not an Imperial name, and yet I was playing the Imperials. That's why you had Ralph Cosham. But Ralph Cosham, I can't imagine anybody else playing Vincent Valtieri. Can you? He was so good as Vincent Valtieri, and his Vincent Valtieri would have sounded very similar to Lucien LeChance.
Yeah.
But Lucien LeChance didn't sound similar to the Imperials. He was a different kind of thing. And you never can tell what's going to happen. You can lay down a number of different voices, but until they put them in the game and see how they play and how they sound and how it works, then you don't know whether it's actually going to be there or not. And to me, when I first play a game and I hear my characters come up, I want to see how they work and fit into the scene.
Right.
In Skyrim, did you murder the Emperor?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Well,
totally.
That was me, and I don't mind you. I don't mind you killing me. I only don't like it if you kill me before you let me speak.
No, I'm pretty sure I went through all the dialogue in order to catch it all, and then.
Were you able to, did you avenge him as he requested?
Oh man, it's been years. Did I? This is one of those things that in the middle of the night I'm going to wake up and be like, oh yes, I remember that now.
Tell me you went back and got payback for me against Alexander.
I think I did. I think I did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I was like, at that point, I was like, well, if I'm going to kill the Emperor, I might as well just, yeah. Yes.
I wanted people, when they killed him, if they listened to him, talk to him for a few minutes, you kind of feel bad about having to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
yeah, there's
and
definitely...
as the Dark Brotherhood quest, I think that's kind of rare. You really feel bad about the people you have to kill, you know?
Right. You're supposed to be just this agent of, ending Sithis.
The whole Dark Brotherhood was so creepy with the
original Dark Brotherhood with that Emil Pagliarillo wrote was wonderful.
So what was that one?
That was Oblivion.
That was, yes, okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do prefer the Oblivion Dark Brotherhood storyline to the one in Skyrim. I enjoy both, but that's, and you interact with Lucian and all that. So
yeah, but then when you have to go through and they give you the cleansing ritual, I felt bad about that because you get close, and especially with Vincent Valtieri, you end up getting close to these characters, and it's like, you must do this, dear child of Sithis.
Yeah. Those stories get dark, and then they just keep getting darker. And there's something about that I really enjoy in a good a storyline, whether it's a TV series or something. When it gets to the point where you're like, oh man, this is about as dark as it's going to get, and all of a sudden they just ramp it up again, and you're like, oh, yeah, we can go further. Okay.
Yeah. I love the fact that there are people who play and try to play a straight game all the way through, and yet if they go through the arena and they end up having to kill the grand champion, they get a visit from Lucian then.
Oh, yeah.
That he'll wake you up then.
Huh,
but
I didn't realize that.
That's a very creepy moment in the game, though, isn't it? You don't expect to be woken up.
Yes. My, and I've noted this on my shows before, my first Elder Scrolls game was Oblivion. I dabbled a little bit more, but never really could grab onto it. It was too crazy and foreign at the time for me. But Oblivion did that thing where you feel like you're absorbed into this world, and because I wasn't very familiar with the Elder Scrolls world yet, I was able to be immersed in it in a sense of like, well, I don't know what's going to happen when I do these things. And then when, somebody shows up and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I murdered somebody and now this is happening. Or when you turn into a vampire and you're like, I'm getting these crazy weird dreams and I have some sort of disease, but I don't know what that means. That stuff really grabs me.
Yeah, there's no penicillin in the game.
Nope, no penicillin. So I don't want to keep you too long. I know you stumbled in here and we're looking for a party.
Well, I mean, the suit's not getting any less stinky.
So let's wrap up our conversation. I don't want you to spoil any NDAs or anything. I don't want to get you in trouble. Are there any roles coming up that you're excited about that you can tell us about?
Well, I'm excited to know that there are games that are being done. Nothing that I know role-wise. The thing is, when you create the games, the voices, some of the last things that happen, everything else is almost ready to go. So they bring the voice actors in last. And so I just sit back and wait for the calls. I've had a chance to do some things for Legends and do some things for Blades, and that's always lovely. And I've been continuing to add voices for Fallout 76, which is terrific. And of course, you've got the whole new expansion coming out. And I would suggest that you go out and get that. Here's the thing about Fallout 76. It's continuing to grow and continuing to change. And it's going to be to the point where people are going to be happy to play it. And if you do happen to see me in the game, don't kill me and steal my stuff. Leave me be.
Well, Ken happens to be in the beta trial or whatever it's called. So he may have already encountered you.
Have you run into Mr. Fluffy was one I did earlier, one of the protectrons that I like. He's a little different.
Yeah.
His attitude. I love Mr. Fluffy. And playing the protectrons has been something that they get programmed and they go across all the games, and I love being able to do that. I really that to me, when I first started doing it, was a very science fiction-y kind of thing, because it goes back to like Forbidden Planet, Robbie the Robot kind of thing,
Yeah.
And it makes me very happy. And I've gotten to the point now where I can fall into the rhythm of the speech and they don't modulate it more as much as you would think. A lot of that is my pattern as I'm reading it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Could you do one? Just
welcome to Appalachia, partner.
Yes. That's awesome.
I am Mr. Fluffy.
Could you say, this is the Fallout Hub?
Okay, here we go. This is the Fallout Hub.
Awesome.
I'm putting that as my ringtone.
Awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
How about this? I'll give you one. Hey, how you doing? This is Mo Cronin. And you listen to the Fallout Hub, or I'm coming after you with a swatter. You know, the kind with either the barbed wire or the spikes, but it's a good one. It's great hickory.
Nice. Nice. It's a great hickory.
Or then you can do one that's like, I need you to follow justice and listen to the Fallout Hub. I do, as does the mistress of mystery.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, good times. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're looking for the party, and
yeah. Well, there's a Mardi Gras thing that was going on, and I don't know whether or not I might have to peel out of the super mutant thing, just put on a baseball cap, carry a swatter, and pretend I'm Mo.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. Well,
or if I'm tired enough, I'll just be Scrub Bigsley, which is actually the closest to my own voice, just really exhausted and irritated than any of the others.
Mm-hmm. I hear it.
Have you been playing 76?
Yeah, I haven't played it actually in a few weeks, but I have it, and I have played it, and I've jumped in. The last time I went in, I got bumped out, and as I tried to go back in again, somebody immediately, I came up and I showed up, and suddenly it's like, you need to eat and drink. So I'm sitting there eating and drinking, and this big guy comes up and cacks me and steals my stuff. It was just,
oh no.
I want to find these people. And once I was talking to the protectrons, trying to shop with them, but what I was really doing was listening to the interaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I'm the protectron. So I'm listening to the interaction. Now it goes, and there's some guy behind me in power armor who keeps shooting around the wall because he wants me to get out of the way because he wants to get in there ahead of me. And it's like, stop being a dick, man. I'm talking to myself. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
Stop getting in the middle of my own conversation.
I'm trying to critique myself. God. Did you do you know who did Graham? I thought you may have done Graham in Fallout 76, but he's not credited anywhere, so I didn't know if it was you or somebody else.
I don't know if it was me. There was one character I did. What does he do?
Oh crap! I gotta make the room. Hold on.
Graham is he walks around with Callie Moon. He's in Fallout 76. He's a super mutant vendor, so he's the only one.
So I didn't do that one, and I'm not sure if Sean did either.
Yeah, I was curious to see if that was you, but
no, I did. Mostly in Fallout 76, I've done mostly the protectrons. I did do a human guy at one point that was on a holotape, but from what I understand, that didn't necessarily make it to the final. Those are take a look at this. I'm sending you a picture. That's my Wabajack and my Staff of Sheogorath leaning up against the wall.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I discovered I was walking around MagFest with that. And you would think that if you're walking around with a pointy stick with an eyeball on the end, people would get out of your way. But they weren't. They were just kept walking. And these four guys walking down a hallway. This is good. I took a picture with this one guy at a con recently, and he was dressed up as the Zoom rapping version of Sheo.
Oh, nice.
I let him hold my
Your stick.
I let him hold my stick. I think there might have been a better term, but sure.
There's Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Wes, how are you? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Well, it's been my honor and pleasure.
Well,
Thank you. I'm glad to have a fellow Caps fan here. We got to represent.
Well, yeah. I'm not wearing my Caps ring right now, but it took me 18 years to get it. I'm pretty happy with it.
I'm glad you got to jump in here. Ken and I were like, oh my God, Dave's going to kick himself.
Oh.
This picture, I'm sitting here. I have a swatter at home and my water jacket.
Now that is a mad god that you do not want to mess with.
Look at that.
So that may be a shot you want to use.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm going to use that one. That's a
good.
fantastic one.
I don't know if they asked you this question. They may have already had. So the difference is, like, you've obviously like done the fantasy stuff, but when you're looking into like characters, and you've done a wide array, I've looked it up, of characters in a bunch of the Fallout games. When it comes to like local dialects or accents from that perspective, how much do you dive into that? Because it's like, from my perspective, it's easy to kind of be over the top, whereas like you finding that middle ground, how do you find
you have to make it sound natural. You have to make it sound natural. And for me, I, like with Sheogorath, I based two sides of his personality, one on Billy Connolly and the other on Tom Stack, the guy who owns the Irish Channel in DC, and he's from lovely Cork, Ireland. And I'll tell you this little story about Tom, and it's basically about any owner of an Irish pub. All right, good advice for you here. Now, Tom comes to me and he goes, Wes, I understand that you love the Macallan, and it's fine. I love it. It's great. However, there's the thing. It's called Redbreast. It's 12 years old. Now, it's a blended whiskey. It's not the single malt, but you'll find that it's just as smooth as the Macallan, and you'll find that it's even a little less expensive, but just as good. I don't know about that, Tom. I don't know. Hold on a moment. Set us up a few. So they bring them out, and they set up a few shots of the Redbreast. So I take a shot of the Redbreast, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, that's good. But I don't say that. What I say is, I don't know, Tom. It's nice, but it's no Macallan. Before I give me, he goes, bring us two more. Bring us two more. We need two more over here. Oh, you're going to try it again. You're going to try it again. You're going to find that it's lovely. Come here, bring it on over. So we take that and we try the additional couple of shots. And I'm going, I don't know. We'll make a long story a little shorter. It took at least 3 shots before I admitted to him how good it was. Never admit to a man who owns a pub who's buying you a drink that what he's giving you is the best thing you've ever tasted, not at first. Hedge your bets a little bit. So when you talk to Tom Stack, and I listen to him, and I listen to his voice, and you try to you work with them over different periods of time. If you have someone like that to base a part of it on, or a Billy Connolly to base the other on, when you're going Scottish, and then you go back and forth between the two of them, you know what I'm saying? Because he's crazy! If you're able to do that, that's great, but sometimes the accents are hard to find. These days, you can go online. There are people who put accents up online. You can go listen to things anywhere. It's so much easier than it used to be before the advent of the internet. But definitely get yourself something, record it, listen to it, and if you don't convince yourself, try it again. That was one of the things I was saying to you guys. You do a voice, you record it, and you let it sit for a day. So when you play it back, you're not immediately listening to what you just did. You're listening to it with a more objective ear. And if it's not perfect, why? What's it missing? Sometimes you need to go very much farther than you felt was comfortable. Certain vowels or, cutting something a little short. A lot of it is the rhythm. It's the rhythm of a speech, not necessarily the sound of the speech. The rhythms are different. So
there's kind of like a musicality to it. That's
absolutely a musicality.
That's crazy to think about.
And listen, it's the same thing with music through different regions, right? Different regions, the music is different. The rhythms are different. That's why you've got salsa. That's why you've got jazz. That's why you've got rap. You've got they're all different. And in order, when you hear somebody coming out and trying to do rap who's never done rap before, well, don't you?
It sounds foreign. Yeah.
Well, it sounds amateurish. It doesn't sound authentic.
Right.
And you want them to buy you doing it. You practice. And you become your own worst critic. Sometimes with video game voice acting, they bring you in and they give you something right away, and you have to fall back on things because improvisation. You're talking about improvisation earlier. Mm-hmm. You grab something and you try to stick with it and stay consistent with it because you're making up characters on the spot.
And you're probably going off of less information than you would another kind of project.
The writer may not be there in the room.
Right.
Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are not.
I have a background in a little bit of the anthropology, and so I went to Virginia Tech, which I'm sure that most of the people that live up in the DC area are either Virginia Tech, UVA, or Maryland. So we did.
So you get your Capitals love on. You're saying.
Right. Right.
Well, guys, this has been really, really cool.
Yeah, it has been.
I'm grateful to do this with you guys, and thanks for asking them at Bethesda to do it.
Yeah, there's been more recently. There's been a real change in the air. It's unusual for a company this size to connect with content creators. But to be able to connect with people at a very high level is something new. So it's kind of cool to be able to do stuff like this.
Yeah, we're excited. We're hoping that this continues and that we, the reason why we do our shows is because we love these games, the same way you do.
Oh, yeah.
And the people who
I've
make
done
them.
some
and
stuff I didn't even
stuff.
mention in there. I've done some stuff with people for charity.
Yeah.
I've been able to, and Bethesda's been behind it. They said, yeah, go ahead. As long as it's charity, go right ahead. And I did some things for Shoddy Cast. And
cool.
I love the Shoddy Cast.
Yeah,
I'm
Jeff
trying
and I
to
prized our Sheogorath and Haskell characters for it.
I've been trying to track him down because I'd love to interview him. The videos that he did back in the day telling his stories are amazing.
They're very nice people. And the Lefebvre brothers, I did some stuff with them. They actually got me to do, they're the guys who were running around originally doing the Skyrim and Oblivion kind of voices and pretending to be me, basically. Mm-hmm. And they had me do a voice for one of their first live action, character-driven things, Oblivion in real life. So I did a voice for it. I was like the voice of the speak over the speaker at a little convenience store. And then they asked me if I'd do something live, so they came to me. Came down, flew to DC one winter, went out, found a place in the woods that would match the woods that they were doing, and I actually filmed a scene with them. And all of this was approved by Bethesda, and I did it for Alzheimer's Association.
Wow. Yeah, I've been thinking about things that we can do as a podcast network, maybe like an annual fundraiser for some sort of cause, and maybe something video game focused, and have all the different shows pull money in. That might be fun to. I don't know if you mind being reached out to again. If maybe we could raise enough money to get you on as a guest or something.
Yeah, if there's ever something you're doing and something for charity, you let me know.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm more than happy to help.
Because I can run it
as
by
long
Bethesda.
as long as it's approved by Bethesda, we're good to go.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll think on that. I'm sure we'll come up with something, but we'll be in touch.
Well, guys, you have a great evening. I'm gonna fold up the tent. I got to get out of here first thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going on like I said, the high seas, and of course next year we're gonna do it again. So you guys want to come out and
Cool.
ride on the boat for 5 days.
Where does it sail out of?
This year it's out of Galveston, Texas. Next year it's going to go out of Orlando.
Next
year
it's right in your backyard.
Yeah, it's
and
I know
next
the
year
port
we're
that
going
goes
to
out
the
of.
Bahamas.
It's on the what we call the Space Coast. So it's like 2-hour drive from here. Like totally just drive and get on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would love it, and really for something like around $300, you get a cabin, you get all the food for the entire week, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, that sounds great. It's the perfect time of year for it too, because the summer gets so hot, but in the winter it's just nice.
Oh yeah,
it's just
Last year when we went to the Bahamas last year. Last year was my first year on it, and we went to the Bahamas, and it was like 9 degrees below zero.
Oh man!
Outside, back in DC when we left, and everybody was freezing their butt off, and I'm like down in 90-degree weather,
right?
Sipping drinks,
Sunshine.
frozen rum drinks out of pineapples.
Bahama Mamas. Yep.
People were like, "You son of a bitch."
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
We were in Jamaica in November, and it was much like that, where they were already paying like Christmas carols at the bar.
Yeah.
And it was 16 degrees in Charleston.
It's just beautiful. It was beautiful. Now next year when we go back, there was a restaurant too. And it's in the fish fry area. And it's called O Andres. And the food portions are huge. They have, they'll bring you order the snapper. They bring 2 large fried red snappers. You get plantains. You get, they're the fried plantains. There are the, mac and cheese, which is just like so cheesy to die for. And
Death by cheese.
Yeah.
It sounds like something Sheogorath would be into.
So, until he becomes lactose intolerant. Indeed.
Right.
But it was really great. They also had the tropical conch salad down there, and we ended up getting a guy who drove us around everywhere, and he was terrific, and the whole place was just wonderful, and we really had a good time. So if you guys decide to come down, and everybody just hangs. It's not like, we did do a Voice of Palooza, and there were a couple of panels. There was like karaoke late night, and you're out there with all these different voice actors, doing karaoke. But the thing is, we were all just palling around, So if you ever go to a convention and you're like, I didn't really get a chance to hang out with anybody, this is different. This is way different.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of time to just chill.
This is going on my bucket list.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm following the Twitter. So
yeah, and John's hysterical. John and I are we get into a lot of trouble.
Don't throw anyone off the boat. That's probably not a good idea.
Oh no. They won't let you back on the boat then. Yeah, we want to get back on the boat.
Could you imagine putting that in your memoirs? Chapter 14.
Chapter 14.
Sheogorath,
Duke Nukem
Good
Sheogorath
round.
and a Denny's
Got
at
drunk.
2 a.m.
Tossed me off a boat. I was at sea for 3 days before they fished me out.
Yeah, they would never find me again. Remember that guy? It'd be the best thing that ever happened to JB.
So, if anybody wanted to follow you on social media or keep up with the stuff you're doing, what's the best way for them to?
Wes Johnson Voice is my handle on Twitter. If you look at me up on Instagram, it's just Wes Johnson, and I am out and about, and we're heading off to the high sea the next couple of days with John St. John, who's bringing Duke Nukem bringing his balls of steel to the John Con out there.
So
of course, you're going to be out in saltwater. They could get a bit rusty if he's not careful.
Yeah, gotta watch out for that. Are you doing any events coming up that people come see you?
I will be at AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C. on May the 1st through the 3rd. And so come by and check me out at the booth. We're going to be doing a Voice of Palooza panel there. We're doing one Voice of Palooza panel, which is great. We do movies and old-time radio and all sorts of things. We create a video game from scratch based on your suggestions. We're doing that at NotCon over the next few days. We'll be doing that this upcoming Wednesday out in the middle of international waters, so we can break all sorts of laws. But we'll be doing it again where people can actually get to, this time at AwesomeCon. And there are others that will be happening after that, although I do know that if you do want to go to see an AwesomeCon, a NotCon, it's going to change the name a little bit, but the con at sea with video game voice actors will be happening around this time again next year. So maybe you guys can come out and join us, get a cabin, we'll swim with fishes, we'll snorkel, then we'll go eat the same fishes. It'll be great.
Wow. Do you know when tickets go on sale?
March 1st, they're going to make the announcement. The website for that is jsjnotcon.com, and that may change. So I'd go in there and sign up now just to get any information. And AwesomeCon is awesomecon.com, and that's going to be terrific. Speaking of Doctor Who, Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper are going to be there.
Oh.
I'm going to be very excited about that. And you know who else is going to be there? Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson, and Tom Wilson are all going to be hanging out together.
That is awesome.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to hang out with them, right?
I got to meet Sylvester McCoy is my second favorite. He's Seventh
terrific.
Doctor.
He's a great actor.
He's a lovely man, really amazing man. Just a really great actor, and I got to meet him and hang with him for a little bit.
Well, I know that John Barrowman's been at a number of these awesome cons, and if you've not seen John Barrowman, who's Captain Jack in person, buckle down, batten down your hatches. He's hysterical.
John Barrowman
and it's out of
is
control.
Captain Jack. Like, that's not acting. That's just
no,
John Barrowman.
That's who he is. That's who he is. I have a great picture with him and David Tennant that we did there. I got a great picture with Stan Lee one year, which I still love dearly. And William Shatner. If you ever go online and look up the William Shatner School of Acting, back when I was heavier, we did the William Shatner School
My God, there's something on the wing.
And I put it out online because it was on Funny or Die at first years ago. And I put it out on Twitter and I tagged William Shatner. And as soon as I sent it, I was suddenly like, what have I done? I was a little afraid. And I got a message back from him that basically said, sounds more like catnip. And had a little smiley emoticon there, a winky emoticon. And I thought, that's the best I could hope for. So we went out, one last story. We went out and I had my 3 sons with me. And we went to get a photo taken with William Shatner. Because I had given him some stuff from the Capitals for charity and wanted to chat with him, but I said we're going to pay and get our picture taken with William Shatner. So as we're heading up to the booth, you hear them go, ready, go. Poof, they take the picture. I said, guys, you hear that? Ready, go. As soon as they do that, just before they do that, I want you to assume there's a scene in the William Shatner School of Acting where he pulls the arms up and goes, we're talking about bang, oh, and the arms go back and forth, angst, oh, and the usage of a bad toupee. And so, but with the arms up and everybody going, oh, I said, we're going to all assume the William Shatner School of Acting pose. We go in, we're surrounding William Shatner, and suddenly they go, ready, go. We, oh, and all our arms come up, they take the picture, William Shatner looks confused, and as soon as that happens, he goes, well, that's fun. So,
right.
a lovely memento.
That's funny. That's a good story. Well, thank you for stumbling into our vault.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I mean, Tim's vault. Yeah. Awesome. Well, here's your head. Your fox head.
Thank you. And it's still sweaty inside. Lovely.
Yeah.
Wonderful to speak with you. No one bothers me when you're around.
Well, thanks for joining us, Mr.
great.
Fox.
Bye.
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 Have a good evening. Enjoy your party.